Just to make sure that they're both on the line, I want to say, are you there, Mr. Speaker? Are you there, Donald?
I am.
Yes, I am, Bob. I think today I'm going to be known, hopefully, as the Garabed.
All right. Okay. Now you gentlemen can hear a little example, respectively, to me yesterday. First of all, here's Mr. Trump and his comment.
There's a man named Chuck Haytaian who is a big man for wanting to raise taxes throughout the state of New Jersey, because what he wants to do in this case is not have sports betting approved, and the biggest beneficiary is going to be the taxpayers of New Jersey, especially, Bob, the senior citizens.
All right, now that was Donald, of course, and his comment about the Speaker. And here's Garabed Haytaian, who responded.
I don't care how much money he's got. I don't care how much of a schmoozer he is, and I don't really care how powerful he thinks he is. We have a process. We're going to follow it. I'm a small guy from the Bronx who grew up, who understands integrity and honesty, and one of the things I believe in is the process. That's our process. I can't accept that. That's all of it in a nutshell.
Well, all right, Donald, since we just heard the Speaker's comments, what do you have to say about that?
Well, what I have to say is that sports betting is a very important element in the success of Atlantic City. Chuck knows that. Chuck was with me. He was at the Taj Mahal. This guy was looking to, in my opinion and in the opinion of a lot of other people, he was looking to promote it. All of a sudden, he totally changed his tune. You know, we're not dealing with a baby over here. He says he's a small guy from the Bronx. Maybe politically that crap works with some people, but we're not dealing with a baby. Chuck Haytaian's in the casinos all the time, spends lots of time there, spends lots of hours there. I've seen him there a lot. We're not dealing with a baby. I'd like to know why he changed his position all of a sudden. Why? For what reason? Because the biggest benefit not having it are the bookies, number one, and Las Vegas, number two.
First of all, Bob, let me say that Donald Trump loves to tell stories. Number one, when he says I've been a proponent of it, he's absolutely wrong. He invited me, and by the way, I didn't even know he was going to be there, but his lobbyist, Harold Hodes, invited a number of legislators to a discussion while we were at the League of Municipalities. And quite frankly, Donald Trump shows up and sits next to me, and he asked me about the legislative process. And by the way, I tell anybody about the legislative process. Unfortunately, his ears weren't open and he wasn't listening as to how to get something accomplished. He could not get it accomplished, and it's totally unfavorable to start talking about where Chuck Haytaian. I think you have great hotels. I think for a minute, why don't you stop talking about riverboat gambling and talk about your beautiful hotels? You know something? You have no competition from riverboats. How could anyone say that a riverboat is better than the Taj Mahal? You have a beautiful place. Why are you knocking Atlantic City?
Nobody ever said a riverboat is better than the Taj Mahal.
Well, it seems like that's what you're saying,
including people that own riverboats. But I'll tell you what, you have Connecticut coming on, you have New York coming on, you have the Indians coming on, you have everybody coming on, and you don't want to give Atlantic City a fair shot at being able to withstand the competition.
Well, let me tell you what you're going to do.
You're going to raise taxes for everybody in New Jersey because Atlantic City is not going to be effective as a tax measure anymore.
I can talk over you just as well as you can talk over me.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. I think you've been
Well, now, wait a minute. 24 was voted in.
Yeah, after how many years? After 12 years. How long did it take? Are we going to be allowed
to talk or what?
All right, now, gentlemen, one at a time. Donald, go ahead, finish your point.
After 12 years, Bob, 12 years, we got 24-hour gambling. Great. That's just great. And you know what they said? They said it's going to bring in very little revenue. But it's been the boon for Atlantic City. It's been a great thing for Atlantic City. Tremendous amount of taxes, additional employment and taxes was paid because of 24. And sports betting is even more important.
Bob, let me tell you, he said 12 years. It came in this session of the legislature, 24-hour gambling, under the speakership of Chuck Haytaian, and he knows that. We also voted on a convention center where they could not get that done for 10 years. It finally got done under the speakership of Chuck Haytaian.
Even though okay.
Listen, you know you built the convention center.
Even though you built the convention center,
wait a minute.
That's great.
Bob, this is not a discussion if he's not going to let me talk.
Well, he was just responding to what you said about the convention center.
Though.
All right, go ahead.
Important.
All right, go ahead.
The airport expansion and improvement this session under Chuck Haytaian. And we also talked about the corridor improvements in Atlantic City. So when he says, look, this is one issue we disagree on.
So
The
what's your
problem that
problem?
he
Chuck,
has,
you know what? I don't understand.
Listen,
So
the
what's your problem
wait a
with
minute.
sports betting?
Bob,
The bookies are against it, and
Bob,
Las Vegas is against it. What's your problem?
has is that he will not allow the system to work. The system is the committee system.
That's a lot of
nonsense. He wants me to go ahead and pull it out of the Appropriations Committee and on the floor. Bob, I have not done that with bills of this type.
All right, listen, Chuck, are you telling us that the process is more important than the goals?
No, what I'm saying is we spent 37 hours of committee hearings. 6 committee hearings on this issue in the Assembly.
Yeah.
He got it.
And he didn't have to put it into a committee.
He got it.
He didn't have to put it into a committee. He shouldn't have put it into a committee. And everybody knew if you put it into that particular committee, it couldn't get out.
Bob.
But you put it into that committee because you wanted it killed.
I heard Donald when he disagreed with Ed Koch, you know?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. And I was very effective with Koch.
Let me tell you something.
I was very effective with Koch, and I'll tell you something. I'll be more effective with you.
It's amazing the way you're blowing your cool, Donald.
I tell you something?
Yes, sir.
I was very effective with Koch.
Oh, you're not going to be effective with Chuck Haytaian. Let me tell you something. We have spent 37 hours of committee hearings on this subject.
It was a sham.
He did not get it through the Appropriations Committee.
And you know it.
The vote was
Chuck, the question
against it.
Mr. Speaker Haytaian, the question that I have is, why won't you allow this bill to come to the floor of the Assembly?
I would allow it. In fact, I said I would hold a special session if it came out of committee.
Well, why don't you let it come out of committee?
I have nothing. No, wait a minute.
He controls the committee.
Wait a minute.
Bob, he controls the committee, and he tries to pretend like he's this innocent little lamb from the Bronx, poverty-stricken from the Bronx. He's this innocent little lamb.
I'm giving you credibility. Why don't you let me talk? Listen, let me talk, Mr. Trump.
Yeah, well, you let it come out of the committee, okay?
Wait a minute now.
Maybe you can lower taxes for a change instead of raising them.
If he doesn't want it to go through the system, you're telling me that I should take it out. Why don't I let it take it out? There were 8 votes against it. What am I supposed to do?
And aren't they your big fans, these 8 votes? These were votes that you told them to vote. Come on. Let's not kid ourselves, Chuck.
That's where you're absolutely wrong.
Let's not kid ourselves. Let me ask you a question. Why did you put it before the committee?
Do this, Donald.
Why did you put it before the committee, Chuck?
This one is
no reason for it to be before the committee.
Mr. Trump, this one is over. This one is finished.
You know what?
Period.
If I were in your district, I would vote you out of office. The senior citizens that are listening right now, remember something. This man increased your taxes more than any man in the history of the state.
Is there any chance, gentlemen, is there any chance?
Yeah, but Bob, wait a minute.
There's no chance because somebody spoke to him that's got a lot of power and a lot of something, and all of a sudden, this angel that's in the casinos, by the way, all the time, this little angel, this honest guy from the Bronx, all of a sudden, he's opposed to sports betting. You know, such
Bob,
a bad
let me tell you something.
Is that true, Chuck? Are you hanging around the casinos?
Listen, I'm going to tell you.
How much time do you spend in the casinos, Chuck?
Since your program yesterday,
hey, Chuck, how much time do you spend in the casinos?
Bob, in this office...
How many times have I seen you over there in the casino, innocent lamb from the Bronx?
All right, Donald, let Chuck ask me the question.
Let me tell you, we hold conventions in his casinos.
I'm not talking about conventions.
I speak down there.
Don't business, Chuck. Listen, can I tell you, I'm not talking conventions.
Hey, listen,
how much time do you spend in the casinos, Chuck?
Bob, let me say this.
How much time do you spend in Las Vegas? How much time do you spend at the Mirage Hotel, Chuck?
Are you kidding?
How much time do you spend at the Mirage?
Everyone who knows me, Donald, knows exactly who I am.
Excuse me, Chuck. I don't think they do. See, I don't think they do. I think they will after we're finished with this
fine, Donald.
But I don't think they do. And I think when the senior citizens lose their fund, and I think when Atlantic City goes down the tubes, because guys like you wouldn't give it a shot at sports betting, so it can compete with other jurisdictions and Las Vegas, and can compete with the bookies, and give the senior citizens the taxes instead of increasing taxes for people. And when you have something... You know what the funny thing here, Bob? You want to know the funny thing? We're not even asking for anything. Put it up to a referendum of the people.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck,
don't let his intimidation get to you.
Nothing's getting. No, the only thing I'm concerned with, gentlemen, I must tell you, the only thing I'm concerned with is that our many listeners can understand what each one of you is saying. That's really all I'm concerned with.
All right, and I want to answer that. Let me tell you this. It has gone through 6 committee hearings in the Assembly, it has not had the ability to win the votes to get on the floor.
And Chuck can't understand why, Bob.
What
Hey, Bob.
Mr. Trump wants me
Chuck
to do
can't understand why.
is
He's only the speaker.
Listen, he's
Are
not
you that
allowing me
weak
to
a
talk,
speaker?
Bob.
Hey, Chuck, are you that weak a speaker
Bob,
that you
he's
have nothing
not
to
allowing
say?
me to
Don't you
talk.
appoint the committees?
Therefore, what
Now,
Mr.
Chuck,
wants me
Chuck,
When you
hold on a minute, Chuck.
system.
Hey,
Chuck,
Chuck,
Chuck, I think Donald Trump is asking a very
No, wait a
valid
minute,
question.
You're not allowing me to answer my question.
All right, what is the question you want?
I said that this bill has gone through 6 committee hearings. What Don Trump wants me to do is to circumvent the committee system in the Assembly, pull it out of the Appropriations Committee, and put it on the floor. And I've said that will not be done.
All right, Chuck, what about a trial? What about a trial run, a 90-day period, a 120-day period?
Ability.
Huh?
Bob, I don't have that ability.
You have that ability to inspire. Hey, you've got a big majority.
He never had to put it into a committee. He put it into a committee because it was his way of killing the bill. He never had to put it into a committee. Now,
What do you mean I never had
I'd like
to put
to
it
know
into a
how much
committee? No, you seem to be an expert in legislation.
I'm a pretty good expert.
Well,
By the
why don't
way,
you come
I
and live in New Jersey and run
I never
for
sat
office?
next to you and asked you for your opinion on how the legislation
Let me
and how
tell
the
you, I
legislator works.
gave you my opinion.
All right,
how
gentlemen,
the
I'm going to interrupt.
legislature works, and you want to circumvent that.
All right,
You
Chuck.
just want to raise taxes. You're looking to raise taxes, and you know what? People that are tired of it in New Jersey, they don't want to vote you out of office.
Well, let me
You're
tell
a
you.
disgrace. You should have never put it in front of a committee, but you did. And now he acts like an innocent lamb. You know, he's
Hey,
an
listen,
innocent guy
listen,
from the
Donald
Bronx.
Trump, let me
all
tell you
this
something.
crap. There aren't a lot of
You
innocent
can't-
guys. Let me tell you
House
something.
people
You're
the
going to
way you're
raise
doing it,
taxes.
and I'm surprised.
You're
I'm
looking
really
to raise
surprised
taxes.
at a person who thinks they have all of the integrity as you think you do.
Yeah, I have a lot of integrity.
To try to propose your point to circumvent a system, to go ahead and say you don't need to go into a committee, you don't have to listen to the legislature.
You're using the
Let it
system
happen.
to kill the bill
Let me
because
tell you
somebody
something.
wants you to kill the bill. I'd
don't
like to
wanna
know
kill
who
the
it is.
bill.
I'd like to know who
right,
it is.
gentlemen,
Because
I'm
the ones
sorry.
that benefit by
I'm
killing
sorry,
the bill are
gentlemen,
the
but,
bookies and Las Vegas.
We
So
have
who is
been
it?
grabbed by the clock, gentlemen.
Let me tell you, I have to say this last thing. I have never believed in my life that Donald Trump would lose his cool. He just did it.
Hey, Chuck, let me tell you something. People that see you and listen to you, I really believe they're not voting for you again.
Okay.
Because all you want to do is raise taxes for senior citizens, hurt Atlantic City, raise taxes, screw up employment, and I think you're a disgrace. And I'll tell you what.
Thank you
haven't
very
heard
much.
the
Let me
last
say
of
this,
this.
Bob.
We'll be down in your community. We'll let your community
After it's over,
maybe you get your ass kicked.
Gentlemen.
in an election.
Our radio program. How's that, Bob?
Gentlemen, I only regret that we don't have any more time, and I'm only sorry that I could not prevail on you, Mr. Speaker, to at least give this a trial period, just a trial period.
He won't do it because he knows it wins,
I don't
and
have
somebody
that
doesn't want him to
jurisdiction.
do it.
The bill in
I'd
front
like
of
to know
us.
who it is that doesn't want him to
This
do
guy
it.
won't allow me to talk. The bill in front of us is not for a trial period. I don't have that jurisdiction.
Well, then,
Bob, could I just add one final note?
all right.
No.
We
I
are
don't have a
asking for
final
one
note.
thing. We're not asking for a bill. We're asking for a referendum so the people can choose.
Well,
He
good.
doesn't
And
want the
I
people to
agree
have
with
the right
initiative and
to choose.
referendum. Why didn't you get those Southern Assemblymen to vote for it, Donald?
You know why? Because
Why?
you blocked it as a
Why?
speaker.
All right, gentlemen.
Because as speaker, you can do things. And I'll tell you what, I think people are going to vote your ass out of office.
Well, listen, Donald, let me
And
tell
they
you.
should, because if you're in office,
your language
taxes
is
are going to
not
go up.
befitting this radio program. And
Well, you're
Donald,
the
let me
best
say,
thing that ever happened to Las
I
Vegas.
have never been
You know
on
what?
your program where I've used the kind of language this man has. And let me
I know,
tell you,
because you're such an innocent
Well,
guy.
I'm not an
You're
innocent
such an innocent
person.
guy, right?
Yeah, let
You're
me
this
tell you.
innocent little guy. You know what? They
I-
laugh at us in Las They say, this guy is the best thing that ever happened to Las
It's
Vegas.
the
Hey,
best
Chuck, why don't you
You
talk
are
to Senator
beautiful.
Bill Chuck, seriously, why don't you talk to Senator Bill Gormley?
I have talked to Gormley.
Well, he's all for this. He's got a great idea. Why don't you talk?
Let me tell you,
Everyone's for it. 82% of the people of New Jersey are for it.
Bob,
But
I
my
don't know if
client's
you
got
asked about
interests, and I'd like... Why does he have an interest in killing it?
Listen, Bill Gormley
Okay, that's
was
a-
supposed to call me, Bob.
And he never did?
He has not called me. And Bill Gormley knew when he spoke to me that I said, Bill, I think this is an exercise in futility because if you can't change the votes, then what are you trying to do?
Well, at
His
least
committee, Bob, don't fall for it, people. It's his committee. He appointed the members. He wants to kill it in committee so he doesn't have to vote against it because it's a very popular thing.
Listen.
He didn't want to vote against it because it's popular.
Listen,
it's his committee.
I have
Don't fall for
indicated
this
that I am
crap.
All right,
opposed to
gentlemen,
it.
that's it. We've just run out of time. Gentlemen, I'm sorry, we've run out of time. I thank you both. Chuck Haytaian, Speaker of the Assembly in New Jersey, and, of course, Donald Trump. And, gentlemen, perhaps one day we can have you both in the studio, shake hands, and make nice. You know, I'm such a nice guy. I never holler at anybody. It's amazing that people would holler on my program.